Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy, a journey through intuition, wisdom, and loving insight. My name is Khunzi. If you've journeyed with me before, welcome back, and thank you all for being here with me. I feel like my heart is still so wide open from the last reading that I shared, and Spirit has been speaking to me about organic manifestation. This is a term that came up somewhere in the last 7 or so readings, I can't recall. And so this reading or this container has been created for someone who resonates with not only being a manifester, but being an organic manifester. Manifestation being a creator, one who creates and whose creations come into materialization as a result of being. And what I mean by this is that you work on your being. Okay, you work on your being, and whatever it is that you produce is a result of your transformation and the state of your being. And so this form of manifestation is effortless. It is not effortless in how it comes to being, how you come to being the way you are. That is not the effortless part. The effortless part is the results of doing this work on yourself, coming into balance, clearing out what you need to clear out, improving on your mindset, improving on your sense of worthiness, working on your history, your story. So what has come to pass and what you can learn from what has come to pass. There's a sense of ownership on your story, of your story. And what I mean by a sense of ownership, that is that you have been able to realize that all of your experiences have been a gift. And so you are no longer looking to the external world to give you answers and to reverse your experiences. So there's an appreciation for your experiences, because there's an understanding that it's your experiences that brought you to this place where you can begin to identify the tools you need to build to take forward with you. And so without the experiences, you wouldn't have the tools. You've always imagined an effortless life. And what I mean by this is, throughout your journey, no matter how difficult things got, or whatever transpired through other people's projections, onto your life, trying to tell your story about the kind of life you should have and the kind of experience you should have. You've always had an understanding that your life should be effortless, and mentally knowing that you deserve for it to be effortless. There were times where you'd compare, let's say, to other people and other people's experiences and how they earn their ease. But there was a sense that this ease was you were inherently worthy of it. As if you could see your heart from when you were young. You knew your heart and you knew how life should be for you. And this life, it comes with all of the good things that you want materially. It comes with that. And your work, because you've always been passionate about your work and what you put into your work, even before your work looked like this, whatever it looks like now, whatever space you've been in, okay, you have wanted for whatever needs to be done to feel effortless. And you've also had this understanding that if it requires too much effort, it may not be for you. And so this relationship with ease and effort and the fruits of it for you has not really correlated with that of the world around you. Because many people would, if they could see into your mind throughout your life, wouldn't be able to make sense of what you feel you deserve back for who you are. And this is not to place you above other people. This is more around your understanding of what you feel life should be like. And that if you're willing to give and share your heart and give and share of yourself and your gifts, what comes easily to you, that should balance you out. And so this is the first time in your life, and I'm not talking about today as such, I'm just talking about this season of your life, is the first time you've realized that you were right all along. And this idea of giving and receiving is becoming more clear, and it's becoming way more simple than perhaps what was sold to you. And it's in getting more simple about it, okay? Cutting it down to you. This is bringing out new capabilities from within you. There is a communication cord that I'm seeing running between you and the divine. It's representative of something, so it's not a cord in the sense of any of these karmic ties or whatever it is, but it's a channel of communication that you have to the divine. You have access to a highway. It is faster than you think. As soon as you feel something, the line comes on. Okay, so the line comes on of this communication line. Your impression is that, okay, there's two impressions. Your one impression is that it takes time for what you want to reach the divine. The second impression you have is that at times, and I'm here to clear this one up, at times you are of the impression that the divine will decide certain things on your behalf. This is what I want to clarify in terms of this part of what I'm saying, is that your line, so they're both right. Both of these impressions are right. The only challenge with the second impression is that you might forget, and this is, I feel like it's a forgetting. You might forget that you need to clarify what you're asking for. And this is not in the sense of items. This is in the sense of anything. And what I want to confirm for you is that by nature of being an organic manifester, and I want to expand on that, but by nature of being an organic manifester is that as soon as you feel, the line is open. However, the line needs to be used, engaged with. It's a giving and a receiving. And so you need to share what your wish is. And what I'm saying to you today is that what you share is received instantly. It's received instantly. And so because of how open your heart is, and already the nature with which you give, that is the nature with which you receive. And currently the only challenge we have is your belief in this. This is coming through now. This is your belief that it could be this rapid, this instant. So I'm saying that you feel already in the feeling, the channel opens. And as you share, if it's a problem, share your problem. I have this problem. I need it to be solved. I want it to be solved. please solve this for me. Please solve this for me in the form of an answer, a person I need to call. And again, this communication, you express this need. The information that comes back to you is information. Like if this is something that is more complex, let's say. So this is reminding me of this story. This story, I've heard it a few times in different places and in different forms. But there's this man and his son, and the dad dies. And the son feels very hard done by because he feels that his dad should have done more for him. And one of the gifts that the dad has given this child, his son, is a book. Inside the book, it's a Bible. It's a Bible. Inside the Bible is like keys or something, keys to a car or keys to answer to something like that. But because he had told himself that his dad needs to give him what he wants in the way that he'd asked for it, he disregarded what his dad had given him. So his dad dies, and I don't know how the story unfolds, I don't remember, but essentially that's the lesson, is that the gift was already given. It was just the openness to the form that it was shared that needed to have shifted. What's coming through for me here is almost like a lapse in understanding what you hold, what you inherently hold and have. This key to what you want out of life, a way of being, you already have it. What's happening is that because of your experience of the material world, these projected impressions of how you access certain things is still with you. However, this can be flipped. This can be flipped in an instant. And what keeps this impression flipped is reminding yourself that the way you were taught it works is not how it works. The way in which you've received your gifts in itself is unimaginable to the types of people that taught you how life works. That's already hard to explain. However, you've experienced this, you've witnessed it. And so you know it's true. Okay? Via experience and via evidence, you know it's true. You are the evidence. Once something is true, it is true. It is not only true in certain contexts. It is true across all contexts. And so when it comes to the material world, this is not unique. What's unique here is that this is the first time you have consciously used this as a form of manifesting in the material world. And what I'm picturing here is someone walking upwards on a flight of stairs leading into a cloud in the sky. And what I'm seeing with each step is labeled give and receive, give and receive, give and receive, give and receive. The difference between each step as you progress up the staircase is there's a development and an accumulation of the type and style and nature of what is being given and received. Not whether it will be given and received or not. And so I see you at a certain step giving thanks and receiving thanks in a form. I'm also seeing you sharing a wish to be opened up more so that you can give more. And so you receive more gifts. Let's call them spiritual gifts, abilities, ways of gaining insight. Okay. and a clarifying of your intuition. As you receive it, this is something you then give. You share it. And so these are not things you have kept to yourself, and it's in exploring each gift as you receive it and exploring the various ways that it can be shared that you share it and receive even more of these gifts. And what is being shared with me now through this visual is that this is no different to the material world, this giving and receiving. And so what's happening is that you are not giving what you are giving currently, where we are in this block that I want to call feels stagnant and silent. That's how I'd describe it, this phase you're going through. What you're not seeing about what you offer is that it is in the material world. It is material. Okay? And in giving you shall receive. So as you share these things, you will receive. And to expect to receive them in the same way that you approach receiving your other gifts. And also to express, I wonder what they're saying about expression. But what I wanted to say was also to expect how it's returned in the same way, the same openness that you have experienced receiving your expansion and your spiritual gifts. What they're really trying to point out here is that the material world is no different. The only difference is that the material world tends to come into our lives and show us and teach us ways that are not true. Those words were very clear. They appear true to those who have not sought truth yet. When we say, as above, so below, as within, so without, this is an example of wisdom, of truth. As in, it applies across. There is never a unique circumstance that it does not apply to. And so you can lean on it in every circumstance. And so this idea of giving and receiving, to give is to receive, applies here too. And so this is to help you with your mindset around how you see giving and receiving in the material world, because they're describing this currently as tainted. 1818. I took out my tarot deck just to find which card is number 18, because my memory, and it's the moon, and the moon was right here at the bottom of the deck. So it was already waiting for me. Number 18. They want you to dismiss the noise. They want you to dismiss the noise of the material world when it comes to how you expect yourself to receive. How you expect to receive. Because it causes an interference in the line. There is also, there's a panic. There's a panic that the material world is accustomed to using as a warning, as almost like a way of responding to no response. And so the material world responds to silence with panic. I've never actually thought about this. The material world responds to silence with panic. In this world that is true, silence is confirmation that all is well. It is also the space and the nature of the space where everything flows. And so this is about trusting the silence. and not panicking and not checking and not sharing energy that sends a message that not all is well. Okay? It's a trap. It's a mental trap. And so, when we are waiting for spiritual gifts, we've learned with expansion that we do this through rest. We do this through openness. So even when we don't understand, we lean into our feminine and we not wait, but rest. Do what can be done. Focus on what's in front of us. Drink lots of water. Meditate. Do everything except sit and stare at spirit, waiting for your gifts. Currently, that's how you've been approaching your gifts in the material world. And they're reminding you that you're an organic manifester. Organic meaning, and I'm not going to look this up again, it's essentially without intervention, without chemicals and ways of the material world that influence a process. Okay? So it's natural. And it's born of this manifestation ability is born of your being. Your being how you are. Being. And your body. Being. At peace and knowing that all is well. And knowing that all is as it should be. And so if you have put out, shared your intention, your wish, and you are working through and reminding yourself, through your mental activity, reminding yourself that there is no reason why this should not reach me. And if there are reasons that you come up with, to work through those reasons. And I'm not saying expect those reasons to come out as invalid, but I'm saying eventually you'll realize they're invalid. You just need to engage them. And then not to stare at these things and respond with panic when you see that silence and that emptiness. If you look back at this moon card, the moon is sleeping. And so what you perceive to be a storm or the expecting of a storm because of silence and because of the absence of any response, that panic clogs the channel. The channel of this manifestation returning. It's like a boomerang. I'll be honest, I understand in theory how a boomerang is supposed to work. Every time I've thrown one, it doesn't do what. But in theory, a boomerang, you throw it out and it returns. This is like a boomerang. And so they're saying that how you have learned things to work in the spiritual world, in the world of developing personally and expanding personally, what you have learned to work is how the material world works for you. It's actually how the material world works. It's just that now we are working on opening up your mind to allow for you to exist in the material world while retaining this knowledge and this understanding that this is how you receive in the material world as well. I actually wasn't sure what the message was going to be. I just felt I needed to open up to spirit, and that is what I received, and I find this to be valuable. At least for me, in terms of I feel like I asked a question. I didn't actually verbalize this question. But there's always been this, not confusion, but misunderstanding or lack of understanding around how the material world works when it comes to these things. Because to an extent there is action that's needed to be taken. However, there was sort of a blurriness around the nature of these actions. However, here, my understanding is that the actions that you're already taking are the right ones. You're on the right path. The only thing is that now you need to learn how to receive. And this way of learning how to receive, this way of receiving, is to be seen through the lens of organic manifestation. And so this is to know that you are receiving and that it's just a matter of divine time. And so to release your expectations on timing and of nature. And to remember that you need to share yourself. This is to share your concerns. This is to remove the weight off your shoulders and hand them over to the divine. To share your concerns. And even if this is steps around your work, is to share that so that it can return. And to keep sharing whatever it is that you share in terms of your work. And to expect a return and just to let go of all of these material ways of responding and material ways of material understandings of how things are received. So this is about letting go and letting be. The card I have in front of me is Winter, take care of your needs. And there's a wolf. This is a message that I've been receiving quite a lot lately. And one of the set of words that come with this message is how it is now is how it's going to be later. At face value, these words can sound discouraging, but they're actually the opposite. They're empowering, because that is to say that if you change the present, then that's going to reflect in the later, in the future. This is around caring for yourself. This is around self-care. There are certain aspects of your life where you are in a state of waiting for yourself to take care of yourself in a certain way when later arrives with all the other things. And so here they're saying lean into caring for yourself. Treat yourself the way you plan to treat yourself. And this is coming back down to simple things. This is like, I'm sensing a sense of, there's something around environmental and bodily care. So these are things that you don't need to wait on. These are things you don't need to wait on. And these are things that you do for yourself. They're saying they'd like you to do them more regularly. They'd like you to be more self-indulgent in terms of your personal care. Because I can tell you take care of yourself. That's actually not, I'm not saying you don't take care of yourself. They're saying they want you to indulge more in taking care of yourself. And so these are things that you don't have to do, but things that you can do and should do, because these are things, these are spaces where you're going to feel like you're already doing something that you would continue to do. So they want you to fill your life more with things that you naturally would be doing in your desired space. Winter is also a time of, it does represent hibernation, And it represents the cold. But it's also a time where we have the space, a lot of alone time, mostly. It's a quieter time, spiritually, for us to learn new ways of being. The sense of preserving energy comes to mind, especially when I think of hibernation. And so this is a time where we learn how to stretch certain aspects of our lives. Learning how to do things, how, when, what to do things that we will carry through into the summer. I'm reminded of something a friend of mine likes to say: summer bodies are created in winter. So it's not like you can expect the summer body to arrive in summer. And I'm not placing an importance or a value in a certain type of body, but there are things around your physical environment, around your diet, around how you just feel. This could just relate to dancing, this could relate to even your hair, whatever it is. It feels like you're being given a message of taking more care of yourself, being more mindful, and stretching those moments where certain things you do them because that's how you've just been doing them. And they're saying you can elevate those things now. You can elevate them via giving them attention, the attention they deserve. So there you are. Summer bodies are created in winter. So this is actually also around making good decisions for yourself. And I'm not being hard on you, like when I say diet, if there's something that you've been wanting to adjust about how you eat, and it's a matter of care that you need to apply. So I'm not talking about major upheaval and turning everything around. I'm talking about a minor touch here and there. Things that actually are effortless. They just require some mindfulness around your approach to them. That's it. So it's more a message around elevating your way of being in the present as a way of communicating to your future. The next card I have is the moon. Take note of intuitive messages. And this is taking me back to the silence, the darkness, our relationship with it. Everything is still being created. And you're the creator. And so this is to keep the body peaceful, keep the mind peaceful. One, so that you can hear the intuitive messages, but also so that when intuitively you're sending messages out, your responses can come in more peacefully and more easily, smoothly, faster, and so that that sense of trust is present. So that that sense of trust can be present. The next card I have here is Eagle, see from a higher perspective. And what this eagle, and with that I can hear the eagle, and I can sense into this sense of perception, this sense of perception that happens as these eagle sounds are heard from a distance. What they're saying here is to zoom out of the noise. To zoom out of the noise and always be aware of the bigger picture. And what they're showing me is this self-care and this learning to be the way you want it to be later. This learning to be in the present and to be the way you want to be in the future. And trusting that all the other things will come in their time. And as a result of your worthiness, and as a result of what you have given, okay? So as you engage in this way of being the way you want to be, this is going to stretch and expand your intuition and your sense of what's going on and your sense of what's coming. But it's also going to reconcile it with a with that sense of peace. So, because what happens is that you get this intuitive hit on what's coming, and a nervousness ensues rather than peace with it. So it's almost like if I had to draw a graph of your bodily activity as you get an intuitive hit of something positive that's to come, something you've wanted, this thing makes its way into your energetic field, and this graph shows panic and nervousness and not at ease. And so it spikes. And so what we want to do is not have spikes. We don't want spikes. We want it to continue on the wave that it's been on, because the spike suggests you are surprised by this result. We don't want you to respond as surprised. We want you to expect that result. Would you be surprised if, when you hear, let's say, the frequency in your ear shift, or you feel a tingling on your crown? You note these things, you note these activities, but these don't cause a spike. You receive them with gratitude. So this is where we want you to shift into, is because you keep hearing something's coming, we need you to expect it now and expect it with peace rather than anticipate it and create this urgency around it. It's slowing it down. If you're still here with me for this video, I believe that you'll find my offering on organic manifestation. I'm calling it that now. It's so weird. It's not called organic manifestation. It's called Accelerating Alchemy Through the Four Elements. And it's about relating to your bodily activity through air, water, fire, and earth, how to get in touch with these elements and their activity in your body to be able to understand what they're saying and relate to them in a way that can hold a memory of where you want them to be in your body. So it's actually just bridging this gap in this relationship between what is happening and how your body feels, and to create a memory around how you want to feel, so that through working and integrating this work within yourself, you find yourself feeling this way without effort. Because this is the peaceful way of being. This is what peace feels like. And so when you can remember how peace feels viscerally, physically feel how peace feels, this memory is what you return to. And it's a memory that you recall as safe and abundant, rather than when you feel tied up. And so when you do feel tied up, you know what part of yourself to relax into. I hope you find it helpful. I found it very helpful, and perhaps I made this video, it was a channeling. Maybe it's been 2 months now, and this information has continued to integrate within me. I'll leave the details in the description box below. I want to thank you all for this community. The more I revisit these containers, this container that I've developed over this period of pyramid energy, the more I recognize how reciprocal this relationship is. I enter this container, entering this container as compared to when I read for myself on my own. There's a lot more that I am able to derive from the container that I hold for us. The depth of information that I get here with you and as I use my voice is not the same as what I get when I'm on my own. This to me feels like a reflection, and I hear my masculine going in now, like my right ear is it's expanding. This is a reflection of what can be received in giving. It's like a mirror of this lesson. Because if I am by myself, reading for myself, not voicing what I'm reading, not sharing what I'm reading, its ability to expand is limited. And so it's as if I'm sharing in your hearts and sharing in your energy. And so the container grows. It grows. And this information that I'm sharing, these words that I share, are able to expand because of the container. And so I'm growing with it. I'm growing with it. And not just that. There is something I receive back from you in whatever form this is, in the form of energy and information, that sends a message to me to be open to expanding, to accommodate it. These are not things that one can grow into without believing in this connectivity, this connection that we share. Its beauty, often overwhelming, less overwhelming with time and as my body gets used to it. There used to be times where I would feel an energy and I would immediately inherit it as my own. And when I say my own, I mean in the sense that, I can't show up with this because this is negative and I must deal with it before I bring it into the container. There was a time that I held this belief. This was before I really opened up my heart and opened it to the understanding that we are one. I am of one. And so when something moves in the collective, I am affected because I am part of it. It is me moving and it is us moving. And when I show up for that moment, the result is that I am transformed. This is the alchemy of it. I'm transformed and I leave the container different. And I'm so grateful for this. And the reason I've really expanded on this, what I'm saying, this message, is because often when I close off the container, I don't leave space for this. This gratitude to share that it's your presence that is most valuable on this channel. Because this is the container we've created. Thank you so much. And sending you love.